Children are more susceptible to heat exhaustion and heat stroke problems than adults because they have a body mass to surface area ratio that is smaller. So they can't sweat as easily, and they also lose, they can't maintain their body temperature as well as adults. In the summertime, we have a couple factors. We have a higher just actual ambient temperature, but in the south, we deal with humidity issues, and high humidity makes it harder for us to sweat and therefore evaporate heat. So we're at a higher risk to having problems with heat. Signs of heat exhaustion can be fairly subtle, but it's important for caregivers to pay attention. So first off, they might feel a little lightheaded or dizzy. They might feel that their heart is racing a bit. They may feel nauseous. That's really important to pay attention to. They may have some cramping in their arms and legs. Those are probably the main symptoms. Heat stroke is just a more severe version than heat exhaustion. So kids that might be at risk for heat stroke would be kids that are actually vomiting or having worsening muscle cramps. Mental status change is a big important factor for that. So if they seem confused, they're slurring their speech, anything along those lines would mean that they're actually moving into heat stroke, which is a big deal, very important, would have to be treated in the emergency room hospital setting. Number one, I would tell you be very careful with your children in the car. Always look in the back seat, make sure everybody's out. Don't leave them in the car for any period of time. If you're going indoors, they go indoors. That's number one. Number two is be careful at the very hottest times of the day or anytime when you're outdoors, really. Try to make your outings be early morning and late evening just to prevent that heat from being so intense. Really pay attention to water intake. For athletes, they actually recommend a water break every 15 to 20 minutes and taking in 4 to 8 ounces of a electrolyte containing fluid during these hot times of the day. But any of our kids, they just need to be drinking and intake. If you're outside for an hour, you need to be breaking at least 3 to 4 times for water intake or fluid intake throughout that time period. Always have a shade option available so you can get out of the heat. Wear cool, light clothing. And just always, every time you're taking that water break, check in and see how your child is doing. Are they feeling okay? Are they acting normal? Do they have any nausea? Do they feel funny in any way? If they feel funny in any way, you need to directly stop exercise, get in the shade, get fluids in them, and monitor them to see how they're doing. I think just being very careful. Children they need a lot of reminders. They may not be as aware of their body. They're not going to be thinking about fluid intake. You're going to have to tell them that. Being very careful about time in the car. I think that's the main thing. Water is always great, and cool water, will help with temperature regulation. So, cool water rather than lukewarm water. But if your children are actively sweating and in the sun, having some electrolyte fluids available is also great. Really, any of them out there, it doesn't matter which one you choose, but one of the salt-containing or electrolyte fluids would be good. If you're noticing signs that your child is not feeling well out in the heat, first off, get them in the shade, get fluids in their system, and monitor them closely. If they are vomiting at all, I would take them straight to the emergency room. If they seem confused at all, I would take them to the emergency room. And just in general, if they don't seem like they're improving, just go straight to the emergency room because they may need a higher level of care than just fluids and cooling off.